Well, Coach, it was fun. As I was preparing for this interview, I was thinking back. We had a lot of firsts a season ago. I interviewed you. It all started at your introductory press conference over the summer. It feels like yesterday, but also a long time ago. Your family coming out to Capital One Arena for the first time. Did this feel like yesterday in your mind, or does it feel like a long time ago?
Felt like a few years ago, to be honest with you. But yeah, that's 1 year down. There's been a lot of firsts along the way, but excited for the second year to get going.
Yeah, first training camp, then it was your first game, and now you're entering season 2 as an NHL bench boss. What are some takeaways from year 1 that you'll carry over this season?
Oh, there's a ton. Just probably first and foremost, getting to know our players on more of a personal level, which helps a lot as a coach to know what makes them tick, their strengths and how they're best utilized, not just on the ice, but in leadership roles and their demeanor, how they like to be coached. Are they someone that, you need to give them constant feedback, or do they just need a little bit of feedback, every once in a while? So learning about them, I always knew the players, and you watch them play and have seen all that stuff, their tools on the ice, but getting to know them on a personal level for a year just feels so much more comfortable with the majority of our guys.
Well, and a season ago, you're just trying to get acclimated to the area. I'm sure finding a house, having your family get settled. What was different maybe, or your goals for this training camp, this offseason, to really have the full to take advantage of?
Yeah, it changes sort of year to year, but this year was more, because last year I felt like our roster was pretty much set other than a couple. I felt like this year was a lot more of evaluation and trying to figure out who fits where and what players would potentially make the team, who might need some more time in junior or in the American Hockey League. And so there was a lot of evaluation, but so that was part one. And then the second part was just trying to, as much as we could with everything that we did in our training camp practices, even some of our team building stuff, being real purposeful with trying to get a lot of new players that are going to play big roles on our team as integrated as possible and as comfortable as possible with the coaches, the new system, their teammates, all that stuff. Because for guys like Matt Roy and Pierre-Luc Dubois and Mangiapane and Brandon Duhaime, all these guys, Taylor Radish, this is all brand new for them. So even though we feel very comfortable and John Carlson feels very comfortable, it was important to make sure those guys feel comfortable as well.
Yeah, talking about new guys getting comfortable. You did this a season ago. This year you did the team bonding again, but did the trip to Columbus. Take us a peek behind the curtain. What was it like, especially with the number of new players that you've added to the roster? Yeah,
it was a great trip, and I'm glad we were able to do it, because last year was also really beneficial. We sort of stuck in Maryland in the DMV area. And it was beautiful and did a lot of beneficial things from a team standpoint. But this year, being able to get away to Columbus, and it coordinated with us playing an exhibition game there and then being able to stay over and do some different activities, I felt like it was really beneficial from just seeing guys away from the rink. And we're around each other so often in team settings, in games, practices, meetings. But to be able to let the players interact and bond and build relationships at meals, at functions when there's a public speaker, or on the golf course, or touring a facility of a different college, like things like that are really, I feel like, can help bridge that gap of making people feel really, really comfortable in the organization with the team.
I love it. Oshie was on the trip. I think you posted TBR, making the long putt at dinner.
An instance
those
just like that.
Moments.
Yeah, it was great.
And then some of these new guys, like the Chychrins, like the Roys, how are they fitting into the locker room, and what dynamic are they bringing to the group that you're most happy with?
Yeah, I would say that's probably the biggest surprise. I knew it was going to be challenging, and it will be even early in the year of getting us all on the same page with how we want to play and even finding chemistry. But it's been pretty seamless for them as far as personalities, work ethic, the types of people they are, of them fitting in with our group, and that's a huge bonus, because the quicker that happens and the relationships are forged and they feel completely comfortable having a conversation with Willie or having sometimes a hard conversation with leaders or younger guys, like the quicker we can break down those walls, the better we're going to be, and that's been really pleasant pleasant to see that they've just been fitting in really, really well in and around the locker room, able to be themselves right away.
I love it. My producer's in my ear telling me we got some fun video of you behind the bench or yelling at the refs, I think. Not yelling at the players, but animated behind the bench. Do you sometimes get texts after games, or especially after this first year of maybe not knowing when you're on camera and then when you're on camera?
I don't like this at all. Yes, I do. I will be honest, I do. Yeah. Sometimes I get the odd message.
You're in the heat of the moment.
Yes, and I sometimes, like, after it happens, I'm going to get better at this. I'm going to get better at this. One of my objectives this year and one of my areas of improvement is bench demeanor and body language, because I'm just such a passionate person and competitive, and so when something sometimes happens in a game, I can't control it, but I need to do a better job of that, because it's something as a team I'm asking our players to do it, and so it starts with me. So being able to manage those emotions, as challenging as it is at times, especially if things don't go your way when it comes to officials, I'm improving my behavior, let me say that.
Okay, I like it. It's good to have the fire, but I get it. You got to tone it back sometimes. Well, hey, you talk about goals for yourself, goals for the season at the start of this year. What do you have for the group?
I don't really put anything from a standpoint of we need to achieve this many wins or this many points. We obviously want to get back into the Stanley Cup playoffs. That is right at the top of our list, and we start very. We'll talk about that very, very briefly, and then we focus very, very short term and making sure that we're going this way, and our game and our day-to-day, what our game looks in game one, it gets a little bit better in game two, and then it gets better in game three, and then it gets better. And that's what we focus on, the day-to-day process of our group becoming more becoming more continuity with our group and consistency in what we do and what the expectations are. So by the end of the year, which we were fortunate last year, it just looks after itself, and everybody knows exactly what they need to do and their responsibilities, and the group is driving itself.
Yeah, let's make making the playoffs not a nail biter like it was last year. That was for all of us. We're on the edge of our seat, but it made for a fun end to the year. Question for you, the attention's all about Alex Ovechkin. I already saw the NHL did a little hype video. How close will he get to Gretzky this season? There's always a lot of attention around him. How do you handle that as a head coach?
Yeah, it's, he's been so, I know this is hard to believe, but he's been so easy to manage when it comes to the record and his demeanor, attitude towards it. He's just so team focused, and so anytime I bring it up and ask him questions about how he's feeling internally and how he manages the pressure and that, it just comes off so naturally to him that it's like, yeah, I understand what's going on, and I'm not oblivious to the fact that I'm chasing a pretty substantial record, but I know that I got to help the team win tomorrow night. And that, I think that's why, and one of the main reasons why he's been able to be so consistent with his performance over so many years, and it's sort of what I focus on as a coach, and to take you behind the scenes of like what I'm thinking about of helping him is I'm trying to help him, score, but I look at it as how do I help him score one goal? And then we'll figure out a way to help him score the second. And then tomorrow night, because we need him. We need him to produce offensively, and we need him to be a difference maker for us. So trying to help him, put him in positions to generate those scoring chances and get those offensive opportunities is what I spend most of my sleepless nights thinking about.
And you spend many sleepless nights, so your schedule, hopefully you're getting more sleep. But hey, before I let you go, last season it was something to prove, the team mantra. Do we have a team mantra for this season? Is it the same, different?
It's a little bit different, but along the same lines. Like, I felt like last year's group, it was something to prove. Really, it appealed to a lot of different areas, including myself and our coaching staff and our young players and our veteran players. And this year, I think it's just a little bit different. We've changed the mantra, and I'll let you guys find that out along the way. But it's essentially just talking about how it needs to be every single one of us, and it needs to be every single shift, and there's no other way for us to do it. And that's something that's really important to our culture. Is it's going to take every single player that we have and every single staff member that we have, and it can't be 10 of us one night and 8 of us take off or 20 of us one night. It has to be everyone, and that's what we'll really try to focus on from day one, is making sure that everybody is on board and we're staying consistent with that.
It's going to take all of us. Coach, thank you so much for the time ahead of year 2 as the Capitals bench boss.